What's up, physios, and welcome to another amazing episode of the PHYSIOMission podcast. On today's episode, I have probably one of the biggest legends in the PT world. I would actually call him maybe like King of the Hill. He sort of reminds me of the kind of wise mentor that is just really kind and shares constantly. In fact, when you get into a conversation with this person, you might as well grab a cup of coffee and maybe a scotch on the rocks, because you're going to be there for a while, because the value just keeps on coming. I'm talking about the one and the only Jerry Durham. Now, Jerry's been in the game for a long time, and the thing that he has to teach us, and he's better at it than just about anyone in this domain, is how to optimize the patient experience. He really approaches the whole thing from the patient's perspective rather than from the therapist's perspective, as most of us would naturally do. And by doing that, he's able to create a system and a process and a way of doing this that is unparalleled and really not only will help to explode your business and your practice, but also really serves the patient at the highest level. So I can't wait for you guys to hear this one. Let's get into the interview. Hello and welcome to the PHYSIOMission podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jared Cooper. This podcast is dedicated to helping young, aspiring physical therapists navigate the muddy waters of what has now become our profession. I want to help you maximize your impact, your income, and your freedom. Throughout this podcast, I'll be interviewing mentors, clinical gurus, and successful business owners who have paved the way and shown us how it's done. Along the way, I'll also be sharing with you some secrets to my own success and how I started a private practice from scratch, developed an amazing team, and built and grew it to a 7-figure business. So without further ado, let our mission begin. I have on right now the one and the only Jerry Durham. So, dude, I first ran into you or kind of came upon your stuff when I opened my practice about 6 years ago. And the one thing that I think I spoke to my wife right after I saw your content initially and I saw your podcast or listened to it. And I said, this man is speaking the truth about what we need to do at our front desk. And, I had been working in one of these big fucking box chain bullshit McDonald's places for a little bit. And they had the worst front desk I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I think they probably lost more patients than they gained, frankly. And then listening to your shit, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this is the way it needs to be done. And you don't just talk about the front desk. I mean, you talk about the entire customer experience, the customer journey. One of the things that we actually spoke about was this concept that the hardest part in the entire process is implementation.
Oh, God.
And I want to really cover.
By the way,
right
that's
now,
what pays my rent.
Implementation.
And just real quick so people understand what that means. And I didn't realize that until I'd already started delivering the content and that's why I started giving the content away, is because we all have access to the same information. So why is Jared successful and someone else isn't? Why is, anybody, let's take any successful business. Every successful business on the face of the earth has followed the same exact format. So why are they so successful? Right. Because they implement and they're diligent and they're strict, and I like to say they're persistent and they're patient with the process. And so that's what implementation is, what pays. Not implementing is what pays my bills, because that's when people bring me on, right?
Right.
To implement, help them.
A lot of people suffer from that thing. We just talked to Paul earlier about starting many different things and finishing absolutely none of them. So what has driven you throughout the years, right? Because ultimately we can learn your knowledge, we can learn what you have to teach, but what is really hard to teach and really hard to learn how to do is the hard part, which is implement. So what has driven you all of these years to continue to implement over and over?
So I put a slide up today. What's best for the patient is best for business. So I'm going to go back and say, because I'm a physical therapist who hasn't treated a patient in 5 or 6 years. So everybody looks at me and goes, And I say, yet I've actually done more for patients than a shitload of people across the country, because I'm helping other clinics make sure they get to the right people and get those right people better and make them happy.
Do you have to
right?
continually remind yourself of the end product and the number of people that are impacted?
No, all I do is keep that quote up, dude. What's best for the patient is best for business. And knowing and seeing. So I shared my story earlier. It was survival. I mean, I came about this based on survival, right? And we went out of network and we had to start running a business, which This is the big dirty lie. I mean, for 10 years, I had created something that wasn't a business. And I just did a Facebook Live on this.
Yeah,
a business. So this is good because a business is something that will thrive and strive without you. So Michael Gerber's definition is a business is something you can leave for 2 weeks, and it continues to generate revenue, and it continues to do what it needs to do while you're away.
And what was the state of the business prior to
the
business becoming a real business?
What was interesting, so I don't know if we have enough time on this podcast yet. When you don't, so here, this is a great segue to the quote I gave you. If you're not focused purely on the patient, your customer, your client, then you're not going to do what's best for business. So, we're in a room full of people where in-network is actually a foreign word, right? Where most of my career, out-of-network, non-contracted, cash PT was a foreign word.
Right.
So when you create an in-network business, in-network practice, because most people don't create a business, when they create an in-network business, is the focus starts to, and this is great because this is answering your earlier question, the focus begins to turn towards the payer source. And when the payer source is giving you more money than the customer standing in front of you, we lose focus. We lose focus.
It really
fast. And these are those. So let me tell you real quick. These are the in-network clinics I go into. So when I created all my content, said I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to help all the out-of-network cash people until I start talking to the in-network people. When you look at the drop-off rates and the cancel rates at these clinics, because what they do is they schedule people for physical therapy. Right, everybody gets scheduled. As long as you take my insurance, we schedule you. Well, those people aren't a right fit. So they show up for the eval, then they drop off. They show up for 2 visits, they drop off. They show up for 3 visits, they drop off. But no big deal, because why? Just put more butterflies back into the system.
Right.
Give me more new patients.
More in the top of the hopper.
More new patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so that whole thing so I had to turn it around.
It's a volume game, not a quality game.
You are correct.
Yeah.
And then the volume is driven by what? Being contracted.
Right, being contracted.
Not that your customer or client is the right fit for you. There's no successful business on the fucking face of the earth that is dealing with a customer or client that isn't the right fit for them. McDonald's didn't get there. In-N-Out Burger didn't get there. Apple didn't get there. Nobody got to where they are in the world by dealing with people that weren't the right customer.
So what you're saying is that when you have so many people coming in the top of the hopper, because you're in network, you end up with so many crap patients that don't belong there, that aren't going to speak your language, that are not going to speak for you, that are not going to go out there and build your rapport, that are not going to give you good reviews because you're just letting any old person in the top. You can't build a business that way because you can't build a clientele, a reputation, a rapport, and the whole thing.
You are correct. I have 2 sticky notes sticking on my wall. It says, mistake number 1 is believing every person who calls your clinic is the right fit for your clinic. And mistake number 2 is believing you need to schedule every person.
We talked about that last night a little bit. I always kind of thought about like the people that call Jerry Durham, man, his conversion rate must be so high. And then we spoke and you were like, listen, there's a good percentage of people that call my office that they don't belong here, right?
Number, yeah. And they get another. So what I built into the process.
How do you find those people? Talk about that.
Yeah. So the key is nobody needs more new patients. They need more people calling their office who are the right fit, okay, for their practice. So when you think of that, attract, sell, excite, retain, referral, when you look at that, you understand that your most valuable marketing tool is your current happy customer. Mm-hmm. I have 4 coaching clients right now. I have made them more money by doing one thing in the first week. Well, I'm not going to share with you guys, but I've made them a lot of money by doing one thing. They all tell me they need more new patients. I said, you got an email list? Yeah. I got you, and I say, do you have a list of all your old and current patients? Yeah. I say, you send them 3 questions, and I'll give you guys these 3 questions. So anybody listening to this, put this together, and if you want to know how to build out your marketing,
we'll put these 3 questions in the description.
Yeah, good. This will bring you more new patients immediately, because remember, and it's not. Here's the other real quick before I give those, and I'm not trying to play some game here. I just had another thought. We ask for referrals. That's not enough. Asking you for a referral to the clinic is not enough, right? I need to know, check this out. If I don't know what you're telling people, about me, then you're really only worth one referral.
Right. It's a scary thing when you ask somebody to talk about you, you don't know what they're saying.
If you tell me what you're going to tell them, I can now explode it into my marketing program. So think about attract, excite, right? Attract, sell, excite, retain, referral. When I ask for that referral, I get more content that I drive back up to the attraction phase. That's when I said during my talk that actually this cycle drives your marketing. So marketing does not drive it all. All you need is one happy paying customer to have a successful business, because they will grow it for you. Here's the 3 questions. How did you hear about me? So that's a marketing question, right? A lot of people ask that, right?
Yeah.
Saw you in a Facebook ad, saw your newspaper ad. You spoke at the community event. I know you through church, whatever it is. Cool. Check that box. Number two and number 3 are far more valuable than number 1. So it was, how did you find me? Number 2 is, what? This is so huge. I just laugh every time I think about it, because I wasn't asking it forever. Why did you choose me? So it's, how did you find me? Has
why?
Nothing to do with why the fuck you dialed my number.
Right.
So it's, I found you. Cool. Why did you turn your phone on and dial my number? Now, why did you choose me? And then number 3 is the gold for the marketing. When you refer a friend or family member to me, what will you tell them? What will you say about me?
When do you ask that 3rd question?
Oh, I would ask that. You can ask that anywhere in the probably like 5-6 visits.
Okay.
Here's the issue with that. You're going to email that out to your current email list, and you're going to ask people. By the way you structure that email is just as important as those questions. Because remember, the people are giving you that because you want them to know how important they are to you growing your business, and you want to reach more people just like them.
Right.
Everybody says, "Oh, I have 3 questions for you that's going to help me grow my business." So
it's almost like a Facebook lookalike audience, right? You're trying to take that perfect avatar, that perfect customer, hack them, and then find more people like them.
So I did this, and then I took the words that they used down at the bottom, and I created a word cloud, and I put it on a postcard and sent it to every fucking doctor within 10 miles.
You recycled it.
Yeah.
Essentially, you
I
took what they said and used it.
Dude, I abused it.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I sent it out. It goes out like once a year, right? So it rotates out.
Let's talk about the second question a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Which is, why did you choose me?
Yeah.
Or why did you call? To me, I'm hearing 2 parts to that. One is, what about, because like when you look at a marketing funnel, you think, is step 1 working? Is step 2 working? Is step 3 working? You say, why did you call? Well, maybe they saw your ad on Google or whatever, and they called because you had a good headline. But then there's another part to that question, which is, why did you buy? Right? Because they might have called because of it. So how do you dig into that a little bit,
check this out. So change number 2 then. Sorry. Change number 2 to, what I did with some of the cash pay people who wanted to give out their price earlier is I said, number 2, you asked, based on knowing how much I cost, why did you choose to stay with me? So you could do that too. Right? So number 2 could be tweaked. To me, number 1 and number 3 are pretty fixed. Number 2, great question that you asked me, is we can tweak that, right? Why did you choose me? Why did you choose to stay with me?
The moral of the story is you're trying to get the why.
Once you knew how much it cost. And that's a great question, because I balance bill. So everybody's usually paying a little more, right? And so it's a good question to ask people. Once you knew how much it cost, why did you choose me?
Right.
And you got to ask it of everybody. And then I would make that go out automatically at a visit. So and what you're looking for is have an Excel spreadsheet and write the answers. You're looking for the trends.
I just had a vision in my head while you were talking just there, because we always think about this concept of nurturing at the front end. Mm-hmm. We never think about this concept, at least I don't, of nurturing in the middle, after care starts, and using email sequences throughout the course to get the feedback that you then redeliver to the next patient.
Here's the other thing I tell people. So what I tell people is you got to look like you're actually caring. This is going to come out wrong, but you actually look like you actually care. So if you put someone in a nurture program and you have a current patient program and you have another program, right now all of a sudden they get like 7 emails from you in the same week, you're like, they don't care about me, right? So my key, I use more fucking tags than anybody I know, because I want, right, once a buyer, they're never treated like a non-buyer. If they're in the system,
so for those of you listening that don't know what a tag is, what Jerry's talking about is when you have an email marketing system or that sends out emails for you, you can place a tag on that customer and then segregate that group and say, okay, send this email just to those people with that tag. By doing that, you don't get the wrong email to the wrong person at the wrong time.
So, right, because then like that current customer is eventually going to fall into the nurture program post course of care, and yet I don't want them getting all that content on top of everything else. And yeah, and I would create a funnel. By the way, you want to make it one better? Have a funnel for knee patients, have a funnel for low back patients, have a funnel for spine patients, current funnel. So get them tagged current and get them. Do it by diagnosis, do it by goals. How about all the patients who want to get back to golf go in the same funnel? And then all of a sudden, magically, you're getting an article about golf, right? I'm not selling you
It's relevant
nothing.
content, so it's valuable.
Yeah. My favorite thing was, I'm a little older than all you. When this first all started, it was basically everybody got the same thing, right? So the 58-year-old neck pain, late day laborer guy would get the article about ACL injuries for, adolescent females that everybody got, right? So everybody got the same newsletter. Right. This is why I love this. And this is the stuff that's going to make the money. This is the stuff that's going to grow your business.
Specificity.
Yeah. This is the stuff, right? Like and just keep it simple. You could just say, we're going to do an a lower extremity funnel for everybody with lower extremity stuff, a low back funnel, and a shoulder or arm funnel.
Right. Once they become customers, it's easier because you know what they're coming in for.
Right.
Absolutely. One of the other big things that we spoke about last night, which I really want the listeners to hear about, and I actually did a live on it last night, was this concept of upstream, downstream. Mm-hmm. And the notion that whenever there's a problem downstream in your business, either a self-discharge issue or patient being unhappy, you said the issue, always look further and further and further upstream, and that hit me in the nuts and I had to talk about it, and I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, and you weren't in the room and we talked about you. Did you hear today during my talk? No, it's all right. I brought you up. And so, because we talked about, what did we talk about? Right, exactly what he asked. So I used the story of business as an ecosystem, and I shared a story that I read in a business book, by the way, which I love. That's how I found out that story. When Zion National Park opened in 1918, I'll give you the short version, all the butterflies disappeared about 8 years in, and it took them 8 years to figure out the 8 things that led to the butterflies disappearing. And it was that understanding.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah. And so I told everybody before I told the story, when you hear the word butterfly, think about patient, customer, client. So what do we do? Back to the other example. Patients are dropping off. More new patients. Shove more butterflies into the system. Well, the problem is the butterflies had nothing to eat because the riverbanks had washed away, and it went all the way back to the cougars disappeared about 6 steps up. So if you want to solve the butterfly problem, you got to put the cougars back into the system. And that was like, cougars funny because that kind of mountain lions. Let's call it mountain lions. Yeah, mountain lions back in the system. Yeah, I am. The mountain lions back in the system. So I shared this story with you guys, right? The way I solved my billing problem, which was 6 weeks post course of care, was change the first phone call. The way I changed my no-show cancel rate, first phone call. So then this is why, if you think about it, because everybody should say, but marketing's further upstream, Jerry. That's why you ask the 3 fucking questions, because then you only get the people calling your clinic who should be on this. Matt, in the perfect world, I used to say there's no such thing as 100% conversion rate. And I'm like, let's go for it. If the better you dial in that feedback from your happiest customers.
Well, the brilliance of what you're saying is you're using downstream customers to answer upstream questions or problems.
Always. And by the way, all the best businesses in the world do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's why, again, McDonald's and In-N-Out Burger in my hometown share a parking lot because they know their customer, right? They know their customers' wants and needs. And
the front desk person, a lot of people look at that front desk person like a receptionist, but that's not their job, is it?
No, it's step number 1. So go back to your last question. Step number 1 is realize what tasks need to be, right? What needs to be done. And I mentioned this in my talk. No front desk person, nobody who's responsible for scheduling new patients, answering the phone, and building relationships and helping people and being a problem solver should be doing insurance verifications on the same phone line, right? So step number 1 is to figure out what are all the things that need to be completed today, daily, weekly, monthly by this front desk team. And then you need to start to break them up. And then you need to make sure that the person who's best at building relationships and being a problem solver and converting potential new patients into customers who arrive, pay, stay, and do your marketing for you, they need the time, energy, space, and resources to be successful.
A lot of the new clinicians listening right now probably aren't at the stage where they've got multiple people at the front desk, right? So if they're going to bring on one new person, what are they looking for in that human being?
Yeah, so it's interesting because this job description will read very differently than the next one, right, for your next hire, because you're going to have to mash up all this stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the tough thing.
So here's the one I was talking about. There was a woman here earlier from Naples, Florida I was talking to, and we were talking about her next hire. And I said, how about you put at the top, right? Because you go look for a front desk person.
Dr. Mary Kay that you're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you. I said, write this at the top, right? It's going to get posted everywhere, and people are going to find it under like receptionists and front desk jobs. And I said, right at the top that we are looking for someone who is willing to participate, in a front desk role, who wants to take responsibility for patients getting better in our clinic.
So what you're saying
versus we need a
crap ass
admin
job description.
We need an admin for a friend.
We always think about headlines like to customers, but you're now talking about using the concept of grabbing somebody's headline, a hook, followed potentially by a story and an offer, which is, hey, here's the fucking job you want to apply, for trying to get the right person. And you're like trying to get that person that wants that description of that job, not just any job with that description.
I'm a huge, everybody says they are, I'm a huge Seth Godin fan, and what I really suck in is not everybody's right. I need to find that core group. So when it comes to finding that right person, I want to exclude all the people that aren't the right. I want the people who don't fit that to immediately go, cool, that's not me. And really what you want to do is write that job description. I almost, in a way, just want all those people to opt out. And then you're left with two, and people go, I only have two, and I'm like, oh my God, this
worked,
is the
right?
Every time.
Right.
Last time I helped someone with this, they had 102 people clicked onto the ad, and only 3 moved through.
It makes so much more sense instead of the concept of trying to get as many applicants to weed them out. You want the marketing of the ad to weed them out.
We're back to, you don't want more new patients, you want more people who are calling. So the way to increase your conversion rate is only have the right people calling. Right? Think about this. If I need 200 calls to put 75 people on my schedule, and what the work, how about I just get 80 calls to get the 75 people
I'm going to say
schedule?
What you said over again. You said that you don't want more people calling, you want more of the right people calling.
Correct.
Because you want essentially that conversion rate to be so high, just because the people are picking up the phone are the people that are converted before they pick up the phone.
Every time I send an email out for my personal marketing, I'm hoping for unsubscribes, because I really want to just get it down to the bare.
Weed it out.
Yeah, I really do. Now, mind you, don't lie to anybody. I look at who's unsubscribing, yet I want people unsubscribing, because I don't want to waste. By the way, part of me is going, I don't want to steal their time. I don't want to steal their energy, so get off my list. Meaning, politely, sure. I don't take it personally when people unsubscribe. I'm like, good, my content is now starting to tell people more and more.
Attract and repel.
You are correct. So my content, and I really make sure my content is very focused so that the people just go, I'm not into this anymore, and I go, cool.
So we talked a lot about, a lot of different aspects of conversion. And there's this whole front end piece that we haven't really covered, right? But that's not really your wheelhouse. Your wheelhouse is the conversion piece. So what one piece of advice do you have for somebody who's trying to start a practice, for a new grad coming out who's been working for a little bit and goes, I want to start a practice, in order for them to feel really good about when they do get the phone call, what to do? What one piece of advice would you give them? So here we go.
So Again, I said this already, you only need, and I'm dead serious about this, you only need one happy customer to grow your business. So you're going to, the easiest thing is to get that first customer. So you're brand new, right? Rob's brand new. And he's got a friend, he's got a family member, someone who will come see him that he wants to treat. When they are done, right, you still got to ask them those. Even if you didn't charge them, modify that second question. Why were you happy with this? Why'd you allow me to? And even when they say something deeper, like, well, I know you and you talk to me and stuff like that, that's hugely valuable feedback, right? And what you're going to find over time as you start to see hundreds and thousands of people is you're going to see that same trend. Why did they choose? I tell people all the time,
You're looking for the pattern.
You're looking for the trend, the pattern.
Yeah.
I told someone, so Rob comes in as a patient. Rob has an experience. He's happy. He pays, he stays. He's sitting with his buddies at Starbucks on Wednesday morning. And one of his buddies says, I have low back pain. And Rob says, I got someone for you. You got to go see Jerry. And he says, really? Yeah. You know what? When you go in there, they take good care of you. They give you exercises. They listen to you. They made it all my goals, and they got me out of there. Call Jerry. Did Rob get better? I don't know. Is Rob sharing whether he got better or not? Maybe not. What you're going to find a lot of times in the feedback I get, and this is what I love. Remember that I told you I took all those words and created a Miller? I put it up. I think I put it up here last year for anybody who was here. And I said, did any of these people show me one word up here that says someone got better in my clinic?
It's not what they remember.
Right, and it was the trends, and those were the words.
Experience.
It was the trends. And yes, and so I'm going to go a little deeper here, and you can ask me a follow-up if you want. This leads me down the path of physical therapy isn't expected. Physical therapy is the need. Don't sell physical therapy. Don't tell people you do physical therapy. Physical therapy is never anything. You got to find out that deeper level, right? They gave me exercises. Their front desk told me how much it cost, and they got me out of there quickly. That's all you got to know, right? And yes, I got better. And what's funny is I'd love to follow up. I'd love to be sitting next to that conversation and go, well, would you go somewhere else now, right? Or so to me, physical therapy, it's like saying, In-N-Out Burger and McDonald's are all about the hamburger, and they're not. So just leave the physical therapy out of it. And don't freak out when you don't have to be sharing with people that all my people get better.
There are many, many people that make burgers and who do physical therapy.
Right,
but it's the experience
exactly.
that makes the difference.
And people, after answering all those phone calls, this telling people how quickly they'll get better with you, I think is a lost conversation, because I think they believe that of everywhere. So that can't
Or they
be
don't believe
yourself,
they can get better.
or whatever it is. Either one.
Yeah.
So they either believe they're going to get better anywhere. So you either get me in quicker, you're cheaper. Now you got to make it more the value, right?
Right.
Because what they're going to do is, and this is my thing I said in the thing, if you advertise your cash PT, you just commoditized yourself. So you're going to get people calling and asking your price, and then you're going to go, fuck, I hate talking about my price. Everybody's talking about my price.
It's a race to the bottom at that point
I'm
in
like,
time.
well, take your fucking, nobody sells. There's no industry on the face of the earth that advertises themselves through their payer model.
Right.
And takes so much pride in the way people pay them.
Right.
What's best for the patient is best for the business. Run a business, right? And I know I probably went off track there a little bit.
No, but I'm gonna wrap it up,
really,
right? Because what you said is number one, and I love this. To build a business, you need one patient. Like, let's be clear, which is awesome, because it's really intimidating. Oh my God, I got to fill my schedule. Well, how do you fill your schedule? You start with one fucking patient.
And then,
right.
And then start the process.
The second thing you said was you take that one patient and you ask them the 3 questions, because you want to know why. Ultimately, why really is the big word. You want to know why they chose you, and why they would, and what it is they would tell other people, right? The 3 questions.
That number 3 is the goal.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. That's what's going to differentiate you from the guy across the street.
Then you take the answers, right? And you re-deliver those answers to new potential patients, and you have a conversation about something other than what it costs or what insurance, whatever. It's about finding out what's good for the patient. And when you find that out, ultimately it's good for the business.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the PHYSIOMission podcast. If you haven't done so already, head over to PHYSIOSecrets.com and get your first masterclass for free. If you like this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. Let us know how we're doing. This is Dr. Cooper signing off. Until next time, fuel your passion, believe in your mission, and let nothing stand in your way.